September 26, 2013 meeting of the East Fishkill Town Board. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Before we get started, I do have one announcement I would like to say to Councilman D'Alessandro, who I'm sure is watching us tonight on television. Nick, we're thinking of you and look forward to seeing you soon. The other announcement I have for tonight is to thank everybody for a very enjoyable Community Day. We had Community Day last Saturday, and thank the Lord for good weather. The weather was terrific. We had a great turnout of vendors, a great turnout of the public came out, and we actually expanded the field because we didn't have the fireworks that night, but it allowed us to use more of the field, and it really was a nice layout. And I would like to thank Ethel and Peter, who chaired the Community Day.
It was Janet.
Well, we have to go down yet first. So I have to start at the top.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So you and Peter, even though Peter couldn't remember what time the parade started at workshop last
I got it
week.
off on time, though.
I know, but you did get it off on time. I'd like to thank Jan McHugh, Michael Kaiser, our good people, Laura, Christine, Denise, and Ann, who worked the tents, and just very helpful people. Our police and our rec people. But I got to tell you, it was really everybody pitched in, all of our people. It's just an amazing event, and just thank you, everybody, for a very, very nice Community Day. And to those who did all the work, thank you very much. With that being said, next on the agenda is a star presentation from Stephen Hartnett from New York State Department of Taxation and Finance. Now, everybody feels real warm and fuzzy when you talk about New York State Department of Taxation and Finance, but it used to be ORF's, Office of Real Property Services, got wrapped into it, right,
Indeed, it was.
Stephen?
We've been merged with the Department of Taxation and Finance, and so.
So you're not here to check our W-2s or anything like that, but I think everybody got a letter, and there have been changes. Not changes, but they need an update of the STAR application. Steve, is this just for the basic STAR?
This is indeed just for the basic STAR. So
And
folks
just-
that receive the enhanced are not affected by this at all.
Now, let me just ask you, did the enhanced people come in yearly anyway?
They do, and that
So-
process continues for them.
Okay, this is just for the basic STAR. Okay, and our assessor, Kathy Martin, is with us. She's sitting in the front row. And Kathy, you guys do a great job, and glad to have you here. So, Steve, if you want to give us some little presentation on the changes and what we need to do to maintain our basic STAR
Surely.
process.
Supervisor Hickman, thank you so much for allowing me a brief opportunity out of your busy schedule to make this presentation, because it is important to get the word out, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Members of the board as well. As the supervisor alluded to, new legislation has been passed this year to require owners of the basic STAR exemption to register with the Department of Taxation and Finance. So if you received the basic STAR exemption in 2013, you need to register with the department so as to be able to continue to receive that in 2014. A very important point, as you said, that seniors who receive the enhanced exemption are not affected by this. They go through the normal re-verification process, either with the income verification program or directly with the assessor. Nothing changes. They do not register with the department as a result of this. 2.6 million basic exemptions throughout the state of New York. So that's why we're trying to talk to everybody we can to make sure the word is out. We've got an access number. If you've received your letter and you have questions about the letter, don't call your assessor on that regard. Call the number 518-457-2036. 518-457-2036. I mean, for us, successful implementation of the program will really be two, perhaps even three things. One, to ensure that the benefits provided by the $2.6 billion program only go to qualified owners. That we weed out the intentional fraud and indeed the unintentional fraud, because that exists as well. And for us, it's important that everybody that receives it, that is eligible for it, continues to receive it. So to me, that's the third criteria that folks can judge us by, whether we are successful in implementing the program. The basic process we went through, we collect the rolls, the assessment rolls on an annual basis. We identified all of the basic star exemptions. Unique star code was applied, assigned to each basic star. And I believe at this point in time, everyone in the lower Hudson Valley, excluding Westchester, should have received the letter informing them of this new requirement, instructions with their basic star code. Again, if you didn't get the letter, misplaced the letter, you can dial that number, 518-457-2036. An operator will be on standby. They're available Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 8 in the evening, Saturdays 9 to 1. They can walk you right through the registration process there themselves.
Steve, let me just, one quick question to that effect. I mean, say somebody doesn't get the letter, Kathy, they can call your office, but although we can't do anything, you can direct them to the website. You can tell them the number or where to get the website. Just in case anybody doesn't get the letter, they don't see us tonight, but they stop by the office. You don't mind giving them Steve's direct phone number, right? Okay, good.
Of course.
Could you explain, I had Kathy explain it to me, could you explain to the people the intentional fraud and unintentional fraud
Well, I mean,
situations
what's occurred is, that it's a program that's administered locally. So, folks apply for the basic exemption stating that it is their primary residence, but many folks, own a second home upstate or elsewhere and either don't realize, don't fully read the application, that you're only eligible for your primary residence and apply, in their other jurisdiction and have received a second star exemption, basic star exemption. So whether that's intentional or just an oversight, is hard to know. You could also have the situation where you sold your home, but the exemption wasn't removed, and you didn't even know you were receiving the basic exemption as a new owner, say for example, but you had one on another property. So it's not for me to judge in terms of whether it's intentional or unintentional. It's just to eliminate the duplicative exemptions. I think that's the real goal of the program, and I think by registering, the analysis will be able to occur to make sure that there's nobody that's receiving.
And that's the way it was explained to me, and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So anyway, I think the most direct way, if you've received the letters, you've gotten your instructions on how to do it, probably the most efficient way is, although the call center phone number is available, and I recommend that's fine, but just go right online, tax.ny.gov. It'll lead you right to the STAR registration page. Have letter in hand with your STAR code, and that'll confirm your address. Again, if you don't have your letter and say, geez, I'd like to get this done tonight, you can look up your STAR code. So you don't even need the letter to actually register. If you've heard the message today, you can just go online, look up your STAR code, confirm your address, and start the registration process online. It's straightforward, a few easy steps. Once you've confirmed your address, you're into the process. You basically list all owners and non-owner spouses along with their social security numbers. You confirm that it is indeed your primary residence, that you don't receive any other star exemption, either here in New York State or in another state, the homestead exemption, for example, in Florida. If you do answer the yes that you do receive it, it'll ask you for what that address is, and you proceed from there. The next question, it will ask to confirm that the total combined 2012 federal adjusted gross income for all resident owners is less than $500,000. That's a requirement of the program, has been a requirement of the program. They'll be asked to provide some contact information in case there's some questions that follow up that needs to be asked, phone number, email address, and then basically you certify the information you provided is accurate and correct. You're done. 1, 2, 3. You've registered. You'll get a confirmation number. Please print that confirmation number. Keep that in case there's any questions in the future. But that's probably the most direct way. Like I said, the letters have been sent. For those that don't respond, around about December 1st or so, reminder mailing is going to occur, giving you basically the same information, encouraging you to obviously to register. The deadline is indeed December 31st, so that's an important deadline to keep in mind. You must register, if you've received the basic star exemption in 2013, you must register by December 31st with the tax department, or risk losing that exemption in 2014. There is, of course, an appeals process, assuming that you're denied either for you didn't apply or that the information you supplied, you want to correct that information, there will be an appeals process. It will not go through the local grievance board, but it rather comes through the Department of Taxation and Finance. If you're not satisfied with the initial Taxation and Finance decision, there's one more level. It'll be through the State Board of Real Property Tax Services. Beyond that, there is no further appeal process. So there is an appeal process. Like I said, if you don't have the STAR lookup code, it's something you can access directly online. Again, communication for us is the most important thing, and we so appreciate you allowing us to come out here and tell the folks about this. We'll send you links if you want to put it on your website. Again, our access, taxny.gov, has a whole host of information about all sorts of exemptions, all matters real property, but specifically about this basic exemption process, registration process is there. So I recommend you go check that site out. One, I think, final point relative to new owners. If you're a new owner for 2014, if you purchased your home after taxable status date, after March 1st, you need to go through the normal application process with the assessor's office. So even if you happen to receive the letter in the mail and you're a new owner and you think, I'm going to register and I'm almost good.
Yeah.
You can register, but you really need to apply for that 2014. So if you're a new owner,
As of what date
March 1st of this year,
of this year?
you need to apply with the assessor by March 1st of next year for
Okay.
2014 with the normal application. That's just
Okay.
one small distinction there
Okay.
for new owners.
Kathy, maybe we could make a little note of that, put it on our website about the STAR, that if you're a new owner, and there's maybe a few that are actually going to a website, think they're all done,
Yeah.
but they really have to come in and see you and get the ball rolling
Right.
with
And
us.
generally, when a new house is purchased, we automatically send out a form.
Okay, okay. But then again, it could be a little confusing if they get that letter, they would say, oh, we're done. So let's just make sure, we'll get the word out there as best we can.
So really, I was just going to conclude by just restating our access, which is tax.ny.gov. Our phone number, 518-457-2036. I appreciate the opportunity. If the board has any general questions, I told Supervisor Hickman that Kathy and I'd be happy to meet with the public at the conclusion of my remarks for any specific parcel questions, or indeed, if you've got your letter or if you want to look up your code and you haven't registered yet, I've got my iPad here. We can register this evening. So again, I so appreciate
That's
your
terrific.
time, and again, if there's any questions.
Well, Steve, we appreciate you coming out and letting us know and guiding us through a little of the process, and bringing your iPad is very cool. So if anybody needs help in the audience would like to go out and sign up, this is a good time to do it.
And not only that, I hear you're very proactive. Kathy's, on a daily basis, has a computer available for folks that maybe not have access to
Yep.
a computer. And so you folks are doing all the right things, and we really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Steve, we appreciate it. We really try, and I gotta tell you, very happy with our assessors. So,
Thank you so much.
Steve, thank you very much. Now that didn't hurt, did it?
Register while John's here.
No registering while you're supposed to be working while they were here, so. All right, thank you, Steve, that really was informational, and I think that was very helpful. I would like to make that note, though, I'll talk with Kathy about putting that on the website about that, if you're a new homeowner as of that date, that you still have to come in and file in the assessor's office, so. All right, with that, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilperson Walker.
Present.
Councilperson Cassidy.
Present?
Councilperson Danke.
Present.
Supervisor Hickman.
Present.
And Councilperson Delisandro is absent.
Is absent this evening. Thank you. We have received two sets of minutes, one set of minutes for the August 22nd, 2013 meeting, and then we had a set of minutes for the special town board meeting held on September 12, 2013. Madam Clerk, everybody's been giving copies of the minutes. Have you received any corrections, modifications, or comments?
No, I have not.
There being none, anybody on the board have any comments? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of August 22nd and September 12th?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, public comments on agenda items only. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on anything on the agenda? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Next is receipt and file. It's a blank. Madam Clerk, do we have anything under receipt and file?
No, we do not.
Okay, very good. All righty. The next item on here is public hearings. We have a public hearing to consider. This is the time of year where community development block grants are made available to communities in Dutchess County. We are one of the ones that are signed up in Dutchess County Community Development Block Grant Program, and I'd like to now open a public hearing to consider a community block grant application for what I consider a very, very important project, Julie's Jungle. So do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing is now open. Just a little background, like I said, we've been in and out of the Dutchess County Community Block Grant Program some time. We've been in the program, I think, for most of the 90s. I think it's around 2007, I opted out. We went up to the state program. Really never saw too many results of community development block grant funding. Part of that is because town of East Fishkill is looked at as a bit of an affluent community, and typically, we didn't qualify for a lot of grants. A lot of these grants are income-based. But we have a project called Julie's Jungle, which I think is probably one of the best projects the town of East Fishkill has ever entertained. We purchased the Lime Kiln Recreation Facility a few years ago, and they have a wonderful playground up there. It's beautiful. It's shaded with trees. The parking lot is right there. And when some of our very, very valuable employees and volunteers got together, and they brought it to our attention that there's a need for a playground for not just kids, but kids with special needs, kids that are possibly have some type of handicap, to play with the other kids, play with regular kids. So they came up with this idea of an adaptive playground. And to be honest with you, I can't think of a better thing. They've been holding fundraisers. It will be built it will be built, let me put it that way, and when it is built, will be built as part of our Lime Kiln Recreation Facility. I can't think of a better use of a playground, and it really lends itself well to this type of an activity. And again, for those kids, and I've seen so many kids at the fundraisers, parents come up and say that my child has this disability or this handicap or something. They say there's no place to go. So this is really a big thing, and it will be for children, not just in East Fishkill, but region-wide. Any children can use this. So I think you guys know I'm a big supporter of this project. And that being said, I would like to make this our community development block grant application for 2013. Does anybody on the board have any questions or comments?
I agree. It's a fantastic project. What's the nearest similar playground?
Connecticut, I think.
Connecticut?
One is in Connecticut, another one is in Ossining, another one we've heard, although we have not visited, it is in Ellenville, and then another one is up in Colony in Oregon.
So this would serve a rather large area for Dutchess County and
That's great.
Putnam.
It's really, really
I think it's a great
It's
thing.
fantastic.
Yeah. And the committee has been working extremely hard in raising funds, and if
Yeah.
we can help them through this grant and any other grant, it's be wonderful.
You have any thoughts?
Excellent program. I think it's worth, and I think we're apt to actually see something on this
I
one.
hope so.
I think so too. I think so
I
too.
think
So,
this is the first grant we actually see.
you would,
Production on it.
yeah, no, you got that right. We do make a lot of grant applications. Anybody in the audience like to speak for or against or comment on the Julie's Jungle project as being the app that will be the basis of our application for 2013 Community Development Block Grant? Anybody in the office like to speak? All right, there being none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the application for the construction of Julie's Jungle to the Dutchess County Community Development Block Grant Program? I would propose that we make the application for the sum of $100,000. I believe there's around between $800,000 and $900,000 in the funding for this round of community development block grant. So I think $100,000. So if we're okay, do I have a motion to authorize the grant application?
So moved. Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. We will get this grant application out. And Peter, we're hopeful to see a little change in our batting average on these grants. Thank you very much.
He knows what a batting average is?
No, I don't know what about it.
Don't have a clue.
Yeah. You guys were talking sports before, so I thought I'd just throw that out there. I know nothing about sports. All right, now we get to the regular resolutions. First one is to authorize our assessor to attend the New York State mandated training program. Assessors have to be so many credit hours every year, and our assessor who just stepped out actually is the president of the Dutchess County Assessors Association. Kathy does a very good job, and as that, she does need to earn her credits for this year. The training program is available, and it's multi-day through October 1st through October 4th. And the approximate cost will be $900, which you see the schedule, membership meetings and then legislation. They talk about a lot of things that are related to the assessor's duties. So, do I have a motion to authorize the assessor to attend their New York State mandated training program?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Wow, number two, this is something we've been working on. I can't tell you how long we've been working on it. We had actually, after the flooding, and I think it was after, oh goodness, I think it was after the flooding of 2007, we actually had a congressional hearing here on flooding. Unfortunately, as we know, it happens often with Congress, it started out big and then just kind of ran out of steam. But one of the things that came out of this this hearing on flooding was that, and this was back in '07, that if you apply, if you put together a hazard mitigation plan and you send this to FEMA, if FEMA approves it, and you identify, number one, your town, hazards, structures that can be affected, and projects that are designed to avert disaster. So if you can do this and get it approved by FEMA, then you can access FEMA funds to put into action these activities that we've described, and there was a few that we described, mainly to do with flooding. I originally started out with a consortium of towns and villages, but with the economy went bad in '08, everybody just kind of bailed on us. We picked up the ball again in '09, we started again. We just completed it with the help of our contract people, Tetra Tech, who did a great job, and actually we submitted our hazard mitigation plan to FEMA, and it was approved. I got the email about 2 weeks ago. So tonight I would like to pass a resolution, which would be the last piece of legislation to enact our hazard mitigation plan, which is a resolution to adopt a townwide hazardous mitigation plan. Whereas Town of East Fishkill, with the assistance of Tetra Tech, has gathered information, prepared the East Fishkill Hazard Mitigation Plan. Whereas the Hazard Mitigation Plan has been prepared in accordance with the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. Whereas the Town of East Fishkill is a local unit of government that has afforded the citizens an opportunity to comment and provide input in the plan. And the Town of East Fishkill have reviewed the plan and affirms that the plan will be updated no less than every 5 years. Now, do I have a motion to adopt the townwide hazard mitigation plan?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. I thought I put you guys to sleep when I was doing all that talking and reading there. The hazard mitigation plan, although we won't see any results from it for a few years, it's the first start of going forward to resolve some of these flooding issues. So you have to start somewhere, and this was a big step. So thank you very much. Number 3 is to authorize a resolution opposing unfunded state mandates. Senator Terry Gibson had been I think on the town council. I forget what town, one of the towns up north, and we had a discussion once. He called me to see how things were going, and I brought up unfunded mandates. This is something he really understands. having done budgets, being involved in town government. It's funny, you know, when you're a legislator, you go up there, you make all these laws. You really don't realize until you're a supervisor or town council person or somebody what the effect of these laws have on you. So Senator Gibson certainly understands, and he drafted a law on unfunded, a resolution on unfunded mandates, and basically it reads, whereas political subdivisions have been financially impacted by unfunded mandates for years and need to compensate in other areas to fund such mandates, such as cutting services that we'd rather not cut just to make sure we provide the services mandated by the state. And I'll just take a quick minute. I was to the county executive's budget hearing last night. It was held in Beacon, and when you see the mandates that are demanded to be done by the state on the county, and then you see the one little box which is all the other areas they can cut, and these are all mandated, so they're all there. Well, the only cuts that the county executive can do is on programs that we feel are near and dear to our hearts, but unfortunately, you know, this is a problem because the state mandates it. So Senator Gibson has proposed Bill S-5126 to allow political subdivisions to decide which mandates are necessary in their jurisdiction. And I would like to send this resolution to the senator saying the town of East Fishkill supports Senator Gibson's proposed amendment to Article 9 of the New York State Constitution in prohibiting unfunded mandates. And we ask the New York State Senate to approve this bill and request the New York State Assembly to approve a like bill. So, do I have a motion to support the Senate Bill S-5126 on unfunded mandates?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Does anybody else want to do a resolution? I've done the first three. You
No,
guys okay
you're doing
with it?
fine.
All right.
Doing a good job.
Doing a good job.
Yeah, usually, you know, somebody else wants to do one, so. All righty. Number 4 is a change order for paving additional town roads, and I believe everybody had gotten a list of the roads that we have paved this year. I'd ask the list be made up. For 2013, we had done Beverly Court, Willow Drive, Aspen Road, Judith, Woodcliff, Thackeray, Jamie Lane, Jody Court, and Presidential Way. And actually, I will say, and I will defer to the town engineer on this, that the contractor that we hired, BTM, did a good job. And we did go do a little bit more than we had intended to do this year. Now, that being said, when I met with the highway superintendent about 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the paving program. He said it's going very well, but he identified some roads in the town, which his concern was if they're not paved soon, if we waited a year or two, there would be that much more work to do to them. So we had a little discussion, and all of our professionals were there, and we kicked this thing around. And you know, my thought was, I hate to see a road get to such a condition that you have to do a base or you have to do major shimming and whatever they do out there. We have a very good price with our contractor. So I had asked, and our comptroller's no fan of bonding, but I did ask to do a $300,000 band that we pay back, a bond anticipation note that we pay off in 3 years. We would give us the ability to do the roads that the highway superintendent had identified this year into next, and then we would pay it off over the next 3 years. It's a short-term loan, but my feeling, I think everybody else felt like if we could do it now, we're gonna save these roads, save some money down the road, and we have a good price with the contractor that we have. So that was what we did. So our proposed paving, well, I don't wanna read the proposed paving. I don't wanna get everybody's hopes up, because we still have to look at the roads, we
Right.
still have to see what kind of condition the
But
drainage is
Dennis
in.
feels now that if we do them now, they can be top-coated, which is a much easier process than you outlined. If we wait, they'll be in need of a lot more work, much more expensive.
Exactly, and I'll be honest with you, with the way the budgets have gone the last few years, the one, and I gotta give the highway superintendent Dennis Middle a lot of credit. He's never been one to complain about having his budget cut. But our paving budget we should be doing like, I think, for every 15 years, we should have the whole town done, because town roads are actually looked at as hard assets of the town. So we should be doing 1/15 of the town roads every year, and we've fallen behind. We need to be really doing about $1 million of paving a year, possibly a little bit more. So this will help us to catch up. Budgets being what they are, we'll talk about the budget a little bit, But, and Scott, any thoughts? I mean, you've been very involved
Just
with
to your
this.
point, this year's bid was about 12% less than last year's on a unit price basis. So I
Really?
think we really got a very competitive bid. We had, I think, 8 bidders or 9 bidders this year, about the same last year. So we really did get a great number this year.
Yeah.
And the contractor's performing excellent, so I
To
think
take advantage of that.
absolutely.
And you had mentioned the escalator. There would be an escalator built in.
Yeah, we have a clause that if the asphalt index goes up at the ports, they take the average of 3 ports, I believe, in New Jersey. That's how DOT does it. That will adjust the unit price
Yeah.
accordingly.
And also if it goes down, it adjusts
We would
down.
get a credit, yes.
So the escalator,
Works in both directions.
yeah, so this is a good thing. So that's the proposal. And Mark, I would just ask you this, we take out a band for $300,000, but we only spend, I mean, we don't have to take out $300,000, is that correct? Is it like a credit line? I'm not really sure about
You
that
would
one.
authorize the maximum
Yeah.
amount, borrow that or less.
Yeah. So if we went ahead and did these roads the highway superintendent identified, we could actually, if we spent $220,000, that's all we would be in debt for.
Correct, or we could borrow the 300, and if we only spend 220, just immediately pay back 80.
Okay,
Similar end.
similar math.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. So that's my
What would
explanation.
what's the percentage on that? What would the,
Our last ban was 1.25% per annum, so
so we're gonna pay back 100 and,
be $3,000 a year roughly.
yeah, so we're gonna pay back 103 a year if we
Yeah.
borrowed the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, all right, do I have a motion? Oh, and we're also authorizing the change order, because like I said, we did a little more work than we had planned to do this year, so there's an increase, the additional $80,000, $80,142.42, to be appropriated for the original contract. So, but I gotta say, I think that we did a good paving program this year. So with that, do I have a motion to authorize a change order and additional funding for the highway department?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Somebody call the highway department. Tell them to get the trucks ready. No, actually, one of the best things is that the subbing out, the contracting out paving has worked very well. Number 5 is to authorize a settlement of tax surcharges with respect to Rite Aid of New York and Do Realty. And I would ask the town attorney to go over these surcharges.
Well, basically, the property owners filed claims against the town indicating that they disagreed with the amount of the value of their property on the assessment roll. The claims are pending for 3 years. It's on in a court calendar. The town has an outside appraiser who works with the assessor to review the appraisals and other information submitted by the property owners. So in this case, in the Rite Aid situation, the building value would be adjusted by a $150,000 reduction, and on Do Realty, it would be a $200,000 value reduction. That's not tax dollars, that's the value of the property on which the assessment is based. And that would settle both of these claims.
Yeah, and Tom, as I always ask you, is there any out-of-pocket money going back to
The town's share of that on both of these will be less than $2,000.
Less than $2,000. Something I can live with. Something I can live with, so.
I have one, I don't have the other. I only have one.
I think,
Oh, that last one came
the
in
second
late.
resolution didn't get in the packets.
Okay. And that one
If you
was
want to
for,
defer
this is
that,
for
we
the
can
Rite
defer.
Aid. Which is the other one?
The other is
Yeah.
Do Realty. If you want to defer that, so you have the
Oh,
resolutions.
yeah.
We want to defer that? Okay, we'll defer that one. We'll just, tonight, we'll consider authorizing. Do I have a motion to authorize the settlement of the Rite Aid tax surcharge?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And Tom, we'll get the paperwork and we'll consider the Do Realty cert next month.
Tom, this one's 2,000 or total both?
No, each one would be less than 2,000. One is, Rite Aid is about 1,800, and the other one was
Okay,
in that same range.
okay.
All right, number 6 is to authorize, schedule public hearing amending the Echo Law, Local Law 2, 2013. And I'll explain this really quickly. I've had an application, we've had 2 applications on the Echo cottages. Great concept. One gentleman, I know one application went before the zoning board of appeals and did get approved. The second one, the gentleman came in and we talked about it. And it's not from the company that has one on model in the town of East Fishkill. It's from another area. And what I found out is, in speaking with the people, one of the salesmen that came out, is that in our law, we recognize the ANSI certification. And we had certain stipulations as far as certain things, certain details in our law that I don't think we should get into, like about height of the windows, the shower layout, stuff like that, which honestly, I don't know if it's for us to get into. So what I'm proposing is that we will accept ANSI certification or HUD certification. And I spoke to the gentleman, if you have a HUD or an ANSI certification, it meets all the handicapped accessible and building rules anyway. But we don't, at this point, accept a HUD certification, which is a federal certification for that. So what I'd like to do is set a public hearing, and that public hearing would be set October 24th, and just to consider basically amending it to allow the HUD certification to be considered also. Okay, so do I have a motion to schedule a public hearing on amending the ECHO law, local law 2013 for October 24th?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried, thank you. And number 7, and this is the last of the typical regular resolutions, authorize a public hearing on 2014 town budget for November 7th, 2013. Set the town board meeting date as November 7th, 2013, so we'd have the budget public hearing, and then we'd have our regular town board meeting on the same night, if that's okay. By law, I have to have my tentative budget completed Monday night by midnight. Carol, I promise I'll have the budget done by end of work on Monday. I was at September 30th is by law, I have to have the budget submitted to town clerk. Town clerk will stamp the budget as received, and then we have 5 days for you to present that budget to the town board when it becomes a preliminary budget for consideration for adoption. That's how it works. Do you guys, can we meet at some point next week?
Sure.
Even if we just do afternoon meeting, something like that? What's a good day? Thursday okay? Thursday okay, Peter? Okay Thursday?
Fine.
I believe
What's a
that's-
good time?
I believe it's the 3rd, I'm not positive, I think.
It is.
Yeah,
October.
October 5th is on Saturday, so it is.
Okay. Well, just as soon if we could do it on Thursday, and just then we'll have it all wrapped up.
Okay,
Any good
What-
time for everybody?
doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just gonna be quick, it's gonna be like a 2 or 3 minute thing.
Yeah, we open the meeting, Carol will give everybody the budget, and then that's basically, it'll be,
Do you need time for publication, or
This meeting is just.
Tonight.
Yeah, this all right.
it's okay?
we'll be doing,
Okay.
yeah.
What time's Carol go home? I wanna wait till she goes home and then call her back in.
So she's on salary, she doesn't get overtime.
Yeah.
I never get overtime.
Can we do it, say 3:30?
That's fine.
Natalie, be okay, 3:30?
Yeah, whatever, I can do any.
3:30?
I'm retired.
3:30 October 3rd, this town board will meet again to accept the budget from the town clerk. So, do I have a motion to authorize a public hearing on 2014 budget for November 7th, as well as holding the regular town board meeting on that date? And we'll accept the budget on October 3rd at 3:30 PM. Do I have a
So moved.
motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda is budget transfers. We have gotten budget transfers, basically housekeeping, moving, there's not $1 on the floor. I'm sorry, I should put this in the budget, right? All money found on the floor goes to the comptroller. This is how we build up our general fund. I don't know how this happens, so. We did get some budget transfers from the comptroller, and basically just housekeeping. None of it expands the budget or anything, it's just within the budget, go from contractual expenses to personnel and back and forth. So I think everybody has a copy of the budget transfers. Do I have a motion to accept the budget transfers? Any questions?
No, you did a great job.
Yeah. I
Good
think everybody-
explanation.
Explained it and
Explained
everything.
it very well. Yeah.
Okay.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Budget transfers have been approved as submitted. Also, and one thing I would like to say on working with, on the budget, that really working with Mark on the budget has been I don't know where I'd be without them. I mean, the budgets are getting tougher and tougher and tougher. It's funny, we see that over the last 3 years, our pension and our medical obligations have gone up over $300,000 each year. And yet, in the last 3 years, our overall spending in the general budget has gone down by 1% or 2%. So we've absorbed these increases, and we've actually managed to cut a little bit more. We've done that with the subbing out to blacktop and other things we've done. It's getting more and more difficult. Theoretically, our pension went up from 2009. The pension was $675,000 total for the town. Next year, New York State has told us it's going to be $1.7 million. This is a hard thing to accept year after year. New York State Comptroller has said this would be the last year of these huge increases. Somebody says they may go down. I doubt that. But this has been a tough few years, but I can't thank Mark enough. He's been really great to work with on the budget, and it's a very, very lean budget. So we'll be submitting that to the board next week. So with that, that's all I've got to say. Public comments on general town issues. Is there anybody in the audience like to speak on general town issues? Wait a second, Marty. Wait a second. You know, I asked the AV guy, I told him that we were going to have this presentation, and I was going to put the podium over here. And I said to him, you don't mind coming out and moving the podium back? Yes. I'll handle it, Marty. I'll handle it.
You're all right.
There you go, Marty.
Appreciate it.
Anytime you.
Get another 4 feet of cord, you could have pushed it all the way to the chair.
I can wheel it back in.
This isn't an issue for myself. This is, I'm speaking for my daughter, who lives on Augusta Drive, and I've spoken to Dennis Miller about this previously a couple of times. She's not asking for much, and it's not going to break the bank. She lives on Augusta where the big turn comes down, and it's a hill, and it runs past her house. And when it rains, the water comes down, and it runs on her property.
Okay.
They take very good care of their property, they improve everything, and this water is a problem, and it has never been corrected.
Okay.
All I'm asking for the town to do is put a slight berm on the edge of her property.
Okay.
That will
I
solve
could
the whole problem.
Yeah, I can speak with Dennis about that, Marty. Can you give me a call? Because I don't want to talk about addresses and things, and I can't take your phone number on.
Don't even bring my daughter down, you could talk
All
to
right,
her.
if you want, yeah, we'll sit down and talk about it. Stop in next week, we'll talk about if there's something
All
we
right.
can do.
Appreciate it.
We'd be happy to do that, Marty.
Okay, you want to put this back again?
Nah, we'll leave it there. Thank you. All right, anybody else in the audience like to speak on general town issues?
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
My name is Anne Marie Baker. I live in Hillside Lake. Mrs. Walker, at the workshop earlier this month, the gentleman who is the grant writer was here, and as he was packing up his briefcase and leaving, he had discussed the potential grants through FEMA, and you had asked him, could we put the other Hillside Lake projects, could we submit the other Hillside Lake projects for this for this grant money? And he had said, yes, I've put in everything on our desk, everything on my desk. Could you please tell us which projects that includes?
I don't know.
You must know.
No, I don't know.
You asked the question.
Maybe it was somebody mistaken, or maybe
When you
Mrs.
said,
Walker.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
when you said the other Hillside Lake projects, what did you mean?
The projects that we're talking about has to do with the town
Yeah,
projects.
Yeah. Well, if I may, and I know Ethel.
Well, actually, no, I'd like Mrs. Walker to answer me because she's the one who said the other Hillside Lake projects, and I want to know which one she
Meaning
meant.
whatever we are working on with the town in terms of the grants that we are writing, whatever we are doing, can we be sure that those are included? His presentation was about having the federal government having extra money being given to them.
I was here, I
Okay.
understood what he
And my
said.
comment was, could we make sure that whatever grants that we've been working on are included in that money or that possibility?
Okay.
Okay,
And which projects are those?
those are the sewer,
Yeah, we're doing our stormwater.
stormwater management.
But I don't
Okay.
think that, I mean, I think Ethel was just saying broadly, any
Right.
other grants. I don't know if she's speaking specifically, I can't speak for her, but I don't,
Well, when he
Yeah.
packed his briefcase and got up, you did not ask him which that included, and there were a number of residents of Hillside Lake here that evening, and I think we would have appreciated knowing which projects were being submitted for the grants.
It's the
Okay.
stormwater.
The same project that he's already submitted for the other grant that we're supposed to hear about in
Correct. And
December.
I said to him, whatever we have submitted, let's make sure that we also submit it for this project, for this amount of money.
So when you
that's
said the other
available.
project, you weren't talking about, for example, the dam at
No, I
Hillside
was
Lake?
not.
Which, as infrastructure affected by floodwater, would probably be an excellent project for this.
well, I
Correct,
I
but we're
included
not
that.
ready for that.
I did
Okay.
include that,
Oh,
though,
you
in
did?
in Superstorm Sandy money.
Oh, okay.
You did?
I did,
Okay.
yes, I did. I
And-
did, when I got word from Congressman Maloney's office about repairs for Superstorm Sandy, I included, I think, probably 3 projects in town of East Fishkill, one of which being the Hillside Lake Dam.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Did you have a feeling there was something that we were not informing you of, or?
Well,
I get that impression.
No, it just that
Oh.
you said other projects, and he said yes, everything, and he walked away. And I think a person who was really interested in resolving the issues at Hillside Lake would have asked the question, which projects does that include? But I guess that's really just one of the benefits that we get of being a park district.
Okay. Anybody else in the audience like to speak on town issues?
Hello, good evening. My name is Emmanuel Marinaro. I had made a suggestion at the workshop, if we could bring back Mr. Cornelius for some questioning regarding those grants. Is this something that we could accommodate?
And I remember, but what I'd like to know is, you asked specific questions about the grants, correct?
Correct.
And your concerns have to do more with what the
Well,
responsibility would be.
He had mentioned the word sustainable development.
Yeah,
That's a word that comes from the federal government.
A lot of these
It's
grants
important.
do.
It's important to clarify for the town and for the people of the town what else those grants entail. I mean, the money comes. I forwarded some material. I don't know if you guys read it tonight about grants and HUD and what other communities have been going through with HUD. There is a fight going on now at the federal level in Westchester County.
right.
So, taking the money is a good thing, but a grant is something that has to be repaid, sometimes 20 years.
Not a grant.
No.
A
So
grant is typically a 50, a
I understand.
75-25 split, or a 85-15 split.
he was very anxious to give out this money. He mentioned it's election year. Mr. Cuomo is anxious for reelection. I think we got to be careful where we're going
Okay.
as a little community, because, taking $100,000 or $1 million today and paying $20 million 20, 30 years from now, I don't think it's the way to go. This is my suggestion, so
Yeah.
I
I'm just
strongly
not sure I
think,
follow that logic about taking $100 or $1 million today and paying back 20.
well,
let me just put it-
if we see what happened, 4 or 5 years ago at the federal level and where we're at today, $17 trillion in deficit. Okay, some of that money has been given to HUD, FEMA, to spend it as they please. Okay, not necessarily where it's needed.
Okay.
Now, there are communities where we have projects, and I think some of these projects could be handled by us, maybe not all at once, breaking it down. But I really don't feel that our children have to pay for something that we are working on today.
Okay.
And this is what happened throughout the last 20 years.
Okay.
So this is a suggestion. I hope you
okay.
guys take it into
Yeah.
consideration.
No, I would just like to say, I mean, when you say that we'll be, and we actually have turned down grants. We did get one grant that we actually turned down, we didn't use. We would never take a grant that would have so much, that would make us responsible for anything, except for spending the grant money for what we say in the grant it will be spent for, and determine what will be done. These are the conditions we would accept a grant. I would not accept a grant on behalf of the town of East Fishkill that would bind us to anything more than that.
And at the same time, too, I think that it would be a disservice to the residents of East Fishkill not to apply for grants, okay? Everyone in this room and in the town pays federal income tax, okay? And in certain circumstances, you know, I am thinking about Lake City and flooding and whatever it is, that if we are able to qualify for it, I think it would be a disservice not to apply for the grants.
Ms. Walker, I don't disagree with you.
Okay.
The presentation, the way the gentleman made it to us that night, it was like a drug dealer trying to sell drugs to people that are used to drugs. He was pushing. The only question was asked that night by the board, some board member, was, how fast can we get this money? I mean, sitting in a crowd.
I would just have to,
Well-
I mean, I think maybe the question was asked, when are these monies going to be released
The
during the
question
time
was,
period?
how fast can we get this
I'll have
money?
to- I will have to check the tape.
You could check it.
Yeah.
Did you
Because-
compare that with a drug dealer? What
Yes.
was that comparison? I
What I'm,
didn't
what
understand that.
what I'm saying is that all money that comes from the federal government, even though we pay taxes, we are in deficit. A lot of it is not well spent, and I don't think we are the judges. Just like we're applying, the gentleman said, Waupun just took it, the project is going on. That does not really qualify us from taking the money. Where is this going to stop? I understand that we have an obligation to the citizen, but we also have an obligation to the taxpayers. In the past, this board made a comment that taxes have to be raised every year. If we don't stop this or slow down this process.
Excuse me,
Yes.
when did the board say that taxes have
About
been
3 years
raised?
ago,
Okay, and have they been raised?
they have.
We have
I don't
had
think
years
so.
when the assessments went down, say 3 or 4%, and we raised taxes 3 or 4%, and basically, I know we had 2 years, excuse me.
Yeah.
I know we had 2 years where if you consider out of your pocket, it was flat.
Right.
So we do that based on the assessments, and we would look at, when I look at taxes, I look what you pay, then that's what we look at. So 2 years we did that. I think we are pretty conservative in how we spend our money. I would say we're very conservative. I believe that when we do our budgets every year, we keep the taxpayer in very, very much in our mind. So just to
If I may
let you
just
know.
say one more thing. I was not pointing fingers at anybody. I did not accuse that I just said that the comment was made that taxes have to be raised. So this idea, this knowledge that taxes have to be raised every year, it's because of the situation that we're putting ourselves in. I mean,
No,
once.
no, wait a second, okay?
We're not
I
talking
think
about Ms.
quite
Walker.
honestly,
It's in
Mr.
general terms. I'm not accusing
Marinaro,
anybody over here.
Okay.
I'm not accusing anybody. I'm not
Okay.
accusing you. I'm not accusing the board. I'm not accusing East Fishkill. When I say we, I include myself as a citizen and a concerned citizen. That's all I am.
okay, no, you're more than a concerned citizen right now. I honestly, I'm gonna make this comment because I'm not involved in it at all. I'm gonna say you're getting FaceTime because there's an election coming. And I don't think it's you're making comments, you're throwing them at the wall, see if they'll stick. And quite honestly,
That is
it's inappropriate.
these comments have been made by me all along for the past 3-4 years. I forwarded information to Mr. Hickman in private. Okay, these have nothing to do with elections.
Okay,
And I'm not looking for no time on TV
no,
to advertise myself.
okay.
My concerns are very important because as my concerns are the concerns of many thousands of citizens, millions in
And
the
I
United States.
appreciate that, but I think it really is incumbent upon yourself to get the correct information, okay?
I do have the correct information. I gave you a sheet that is in front of you with numbers, okay? I left it with the secretary of Mr. Hickman. You should have that sheet. I hope you read it, because that information is very
I'm
accurate.
talking about the information that you're saying that we asked for tax increases. You know what, I'm not making any more comments at this point.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. All right, I appreciate your comments. I would just say this. I hope I didn't say, how fast can we get the money? I would never speak that way. I do recall asking when the funding is available, because I don't want to be compared to talking to a drug dealer, how fast can I have my fix? That being said, let's just take Julie's Jungle grant. You know,
Right.
Love Julie's Jungle, it's a great project. We need help funding it. We're going to the Community Development Block Grant, which is funded by HUD, to help handicapped children. I think this is a very appropriate use of this type of funding. This other funding that we're looking to do, I will guarantee you this, two things that we do not take this lightly, and when we say we have a project, we have projects. There's no fooling around here. We take money for projects that are real. We have an engineering department. We have a great staff. So I just want to let you know, and we would never take a grant that would bind us to anything, as I said before, more than doing the job, doing what we said we were going to do, and in the time period that we said we would do it. And that's basically it, so.
I think one thing with asking when we're gonna get the money, we'd kind of like to hear an idea when we could.
Right.
Because we've been hearing for 10 years that we're gonna get grant money for this or that or this. And if we get something for Julie's Jungle, our batting average is gonna go up by 25 points.
Right.
Because we get told no more than
Yeah.
anything.
What's the batting average?
Huh? Batting average is almost zero
Well, I think.
right now.
You know what, Peter, you raise a good point, and John also. I think, you know, when Mr. Cornelius came to the meeting, he seemed pretty positive about this money being available and that we could qualify. Now, we know we've heard that story before and it has never come to fruition. And if it was said, it meant we mean to know, like, oh, we're gonna know quickly.
Yeah.
Because he was giving, was a little confusing with some dates. He had said December, then January, then February, and, you know, can we apply for by one date, but the deadline was before it, so it was a little
I think the
confusing.
only grant money we ever get's for police and courts.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
So
All
that's where
right.
their money goes.
Okay, if there's nothing else to discuss, so we don't get the chief of police going about the police grants. The next town board meetings are, the workshop meeting will be October 10th, 2013, and the regular board meeting will be October 24th, 2013. Do I have a motion to adjourn the town board meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.